Do we have some people that are on the, okay. 2? Is that how many we're supposed to? All right, it is 10 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order, certify that we do have a quorum. All 5 members are present. Item number 2 is opening prayer. Do we have anybody from the Ministerial Alliance that happens to be here for? Ricky, you mind leading us in an opening prayer? And following that, Commissioner Snuggs, will you lead us in the pledges? Would everybody please rise?
Shall we pray? Our Father, we're thankful today for the privilege that we have to be here at this meeting. We're thankful, first of all, for you and your grace and mercy, your watchful care over us. I pray today, Lord, that you would help us, that we'll have wisdom, and that you would guide us in the decisions that are made today. And I pray, Father, for our country, that level-headed wisdom would rule out, and that we would follow your guidance and your leadership. We pray, Father, that all of us would be found doing those things that are pleasing with you. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. We do have what appears to be 9 people that have signed up for public comments. Looks like 2 or 3 of them, 2 of them at least, are on the call-in line. We'll take those 2 first. This, I believe every one of them is on a non-agenda item, which means it's an item that's not currently before the court today. And as such, we do have a maximum time period of 30 minutes, so we're going to limit everybody to 3 minutes for public comments, since this is a non-agenda item. The first person we have is Linda Feingold. She should be online. Last 2 digits should be 34. Can we get her unmuted? And Ms. Feingold, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning, Honorable Judge Brinkley, Commissioners, and the listening audience.
Yes.
There is an old expression, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Nightmares of the past, i.e. Hitler, Castro, Charles Manson, Jim Jones, and the 9/11 conspirators who blew apart New York City. They thought to fix what was not broken, and little by little, small amounts unnoticeably, they crept onto our public forums to spew hate, lies, and terror. They used lies, sex, religion, eloquent speech, and money to subdue their victims, being our U.S. citizens. The United States of America isn't broken and doesn't need fixing. I've been around the world in countries where you could not even drink the dirty water. You couldn't show public affection. You couldn't choose what you ate or drank. If you are accosted, some cities have no police officers to protect you. Some cities are openly allowing sexual seduction and openly sell and use drugs on the streets. The United States of America isn't broken, and it doesn't need fixing. If something is offensive or upsetting to you, stay away from it, and don't support it with your dollars. I used to love oysters on the half shell, and one night, a long time ago, I ate 26 oysters on the half shell. Well, needless to say, I threw up all night long. Yuck. To this day, I cannot even look at an oyster. So I go on past the seafood aisle at Walmart. I simply stay away from oysters. Just because I can't stand oysters doesn't mean others should not be able to enjoy their oysters. The United States of America isn't broken and doesn't need fixing. Don't let our country be turned into a socialistic, poor country. Learn from history. Leave America under God. Protect and defend our principles of order, morality, and truth. Also, our right to freedom of religion. The United States of America isn't broken. It doesn't need fixing. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The next public participant we have is Darlene Denton. She should also have phoned in. The last two numbers are 40.
Yes.
Ms. Denton, you are up. Just as a reminder, we are limiting people to 3 minutes given the number of people that have signed up. So you may proceed.
All right. I prepared a 4-minute remarks. I'll cut some of mine out in the middle. County commissioners and Judge Brinkley, the cultural cleansing sweeping across our nation is designed to destroy our God-given rights guaranteed by our Constitution. This is an effort to change our nation from a constitutional republic to a socialist form of government. Evidence is the nightly looting, burning, and attacking of innocents and law enforcement by Marxist-inspired anarchists, as well as the state, county, and city officials who are too afraid of the mobs to enforce the laws. The controversy over the Confederate monuments is just a stepping stone to this ultimate end. Presentism, an irresponsible approach to history, is the practice of judging people in the past based on today's morals and our cultural expectations. We're using the wrong cultural measuring stick to evaluate the past. It is devoid of context, which is the purpose of learning from our mistakes of others. Context is the key that brings history to life. It is important to understand that the past is not like the present. We feel self-important and morally superior when we judge the Confederate war monuments. Too many professors today are using an invalid interpretation of historical events for a different reason, to justify their worldview. To understand and learn from history, you have to understand the cultural values of the time. Was slavery an issue? Yes, for the politicians. The South was settled predominantly not only by the English, but the Scot-Irish, who had suffered greatly under the oppression of the English. There are conflicting values then, as there are now. It is simplistic for us to reduce the conflicts to good and bad. The common man's loyalty was to his state, not to the federal government. The farmer who wanted to provide for his family was fighting to protect his property. His issues were economic and states' rights. In view of our present-day conflict with the powerful House of Representatives, the Senate and executive branch, he has been vindicated on this issue, and he was right. I'll skip part of it. Ethnocide is the practice of erasing the cultural heritage of a group, thus erasing our cultural identity. Our cultural heritage as Southerners has been the object of ethnocide and presentism. The outcome is the destruction of our Confederate monuments, which is intended to erase our cultural identity. It is up to us to refuse to accept the cultural cleansing sweeping over our country. In 75 or 100 years from now, our descendants would look at us with their cultural values, and we will appear to be woefully immoral on some criteria we have yet to consider. Who knows how we will fare? No doubt we will be found wanting when judged by some future yet unknown cultural value measuring stick. What goes around comes around. The folly of judging others is to be judged. I hope I kept it within the 3 minutes. I did skip some parts. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dean Smith. You want to go to the microphone here? Once again, you got 3 minutes.
I have an issue with the protesting Confederate monuments. People need to read the true story of our history. Slavery did not cause the Civil War. Slavery was an issue. It wasn't an issue in the war between the states until the war was almost 3 years old. President Lincoln made an issue because he was losing support in the North for the war. And the southern states were not receiving states' rights and were being over-levied on products that they were required to buy from the North. On our statue out front or on the corner of the lawn, it states, "O home of tears, but let her bear this blossom to the end of time. No nation so white and fair, none fell so pure of crime." The word white is used 75 times in the Bible, referring not to white people or the white race, but referring to wisdom and a radiant, magnificent version of the pigment white. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Michelle Angus. Once again, you got 3 minutes.
Judge Brinkley, Commissioners. On June 30th, 2020, Republican governor of Mississippi signed the bill that would remove the Confederate flag from its state flag. Upon signing, he said, "This is not a political moment to me, but a solemn occasion to lead our Mississippi family to come together, be reconciled, and to move on." The state legislature wrote and passed the bill in less than a week with bipartisan support in a landslide vote in both chambers of the state's Congress. This was done without a public referendum, without a new flag design in place, and in spite of angering the people who funded their campaigns and many of their constituents. Many people were outraged, citing a loss of their history, their heritage, and tradition. But the governmental leaders of Mississippi took a stand and made a decision to do what was right. As State Representative Edward Blackman Jr. put it, the flag ought to be something that we all feel a sense of pride, that when we see it, we know that it's about us, not just some of us. Not just some of us. Let that sink in. The Cooke County Confederate Monument does not represent all of us, just some of us. Gainesville citizens who have petitioned and waited for decades for the statue to be removed know that this does not have to be a lengthy process. We've seen other states and communities in Texas, both large and small, make swift decisions to remove their historical Confederate monuments and complete the job in a few weeks. We've heard from this court that it takes time, that you can't rush the process. There are many obstacles to overcome, and my favorite, just be patient. Honestly, I believe this is a tactic to see if we will tire out and let the issue go. And trust me, we won't. The longer you stall, the bigger our protests will become. This is no longer about just Gainesville. This is about the whole of Texas. We've gotten the same feedback you have. White people outraged that we are messing with their heritage, with history, with their Southern identity. Aside from the fact that Cooke County never wanted to join the Confederacy in the first place, whose heritage, whose identity does the statue represent? Maybe a handful of people in Gainesville who had ancestors that fought in the Confederacy. For the Black community, it represents slavery, denial of civil rights, denial of an ancestry, denial of humanity even. To this day, it is a reminder that racism is still very much alive. That first night we marched on the courthouse square.
Ma'am, your time's up.
Seriously. It's a lot.
Thank you. Next, we have Ken Arterberry. Once again, you got 3 minutes.
Gentlemen, in 2009-11, this courthouse went under its second renovation. That monument out there, which Mr. Leon Clement was on the committee serving, was funded by the Historical Society and this county. I asked you guys to keep that monument out there. It is not, it doesn't have anything to do with racism. We're white, we got black here. I'm not a racist. I fought the Vietnam War so that people like this and you guys could have your freedom of speech. And I don't believe that you guys are going to let that happen too much. I notice that you're trying to pass the buck and blame the Historical Society and let them say whether that monument stays up or not. Gentlemen, we didn't vote for the Historical Society. We voted for you. And I'd like to see you guys stand up. Sometime, somewhere in this country, someone has to stand up for this. If these people are taxpayers of this county, fine. I don't have a problem with that. But if you're not taxpayers, don't come to my county and tell my commissioners and county judge how to speak for this, for us. I just ask that you guys stand up for what's right, what our Constitution is about, and defend that monument. It's just a piece of rock, but it's been there for 109 years. So stand up and take the initiative and defend this county. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Bob Smith. Once again, you've got 3 minutes.
Can I approach the bench?
Yes.
Erasing history will be a mistake. By what authority does pro-Gainesville have to make demands on this county and Gainesville when some of their members do not live in this county? The demands that they are making are not truly about blacks, slavery, or monuments. It's about tearing down America, Texas, Cooke County, and Gainesville. They are practicing Marxism and socialism, not capitalism. The monument represents the people that had to go fight in the war because they were drafted. Every county got to vote whether they wanted to join the Confederacy. The reason Cooke County and counties along the Red River who voted not to join the Union because they needed to defend the wild frontier to protect their families and homes from the Indian raids. The rest of Texas majority ruled and Texas joined the Confederacy. The men and women in Cooke County and along the Red River were drafted to join the Confederacy. The ones who didn't join went AWOL to protect their families from Indian raids. The rest of the Confederacy did not have the Indian raids problems. The monument was put on the courthouse square after the courthouse was built in honor of men and women from Cooke County and that were drafted and served the Confederacy against their will. The monument was put in place recognizing those people, honoring them for their service. It has nothing to do with Confederates itself. It's about honoring the people who served from Cooke County. The words on the monument can be misconstrued as prejudices. So should we tear the monument down because the wording is not politically correct in today's society? Today's society could not be held accountable for past ancestry and history. However, the history should be preserved, not removed. Whatever happens historically does not justify that our current situation needs to be accountable. In making a decision, all fairness, the monument should be voted on by Cooke County's taxpayers, not the Commissioners Court. The voting needs to be fairly done. No early voting, no mail-in voting, no intercept voting, voting in person the day only, and the majority rules. In the monument, it remains, does not need to be destroyed. It should be moved to a safe place. So who's going to pay for this? In closing, I would like to thank the Commissioners Court and their time allowing me to express my concerns about Cooke County citizens. God bless America, Texas, Cooke County, and Gainesville.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft here. We have anybody that called in by that name? Next, we have Vince Rippey. Once again, sir, you've got 3 minutes.
I've placed a handout before you on the dais. This is help you to understand who you're dealing with. The front page is Ms. Runnell's bio, UNT honors. She's a very accomplished, intelligent young lady. The second page has to do with her association with the Democratic Socialists of America. And she's very active in this organization. The third page before you is quite frankly, an attempt at extortion against the Cooke County and against this Commissioners Court, not by her, by an organization called Shadow Intelligence, but this is put out by her on evidently a tweet, I'm not for sure. Anyway, twice in this rant, she refers to Cooke County and the government as racist thugs, particularly you as a body as racist thugs. You are not racist thugs. People in this room do not qualify as that either. But evidently she thinks that is the case. The next one is also a article on Facebook authored by Ms. Runnell. Refers to counter-protesters as white supremacists. Ladies and gentlemen, this does not characterize us. We are not this description. I would encourage you, and I'm departing from everything I had planned, I would encourage you not to act in the heat of political moment. This does not encourage good thought. It's not a good political process. Do not let the next election become a one-issue vote over the lack of a statue standing right, that used to stand right there. No matter who you are, what kind of political clout that you think you have, that will be a testament of what you voted for, to let it stand or not. Do not, I encourage you, I plead with you, because I'm a fan of all of y'all, particularly Jason and the judge. But I will tell you, this is in danger because this is such an issue of making your next election a one-issue election. And that is a sad political consequence coming from outside the county. It's not even have to do with county residents, except for the young Hispanic people walking around here during the protest. This is a constituency that is a Cooke County, Gainesville constituency, and I will stand up for their right to do it, but we need to respect them as a constituency and future voters.
You're out of time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the last speaker is Tory Henderson. And once again, you've got 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm going to start with, contrary to popular belief, everyone in Pro-Gainesville is from Gainesville, Texas. We were all born and raised here, and we all funneled through the school system here, so thank you for that intelligence. The only thing I want to say is I've been out there on the ground watching the people that come to counter-protest this. I've experienced the hatred, and I think it's a lot to continue to say that this is history, and I respect that this is something that's happened in everyone's history. I respect that there are family members. I have a family member who fought in the Confederacy. So I get it. I am half white. But I think it's important to note that you have a group of people who put a monument intentionally placed next to your courthouse. And now you have this new generation that's here and says, this is not right. This was set here in the wrong pretense. This is the wrong idea for our people. This does not represent our community. And then the people that still don't agree, they don't think that there's anything wrong. Nothing's been wrong with America. Nothing needs to change, but that's because this hasn't affected them. This hasn't affected their community. I had one more thing that I wanted to share. The KKK saw this statue as a rallying place, something that connected their views to this statue. So if you're connected to that statue, I think it's time for us to reevaluate. You can call this history all you want. We're not asking for this monument to be destroyed. We're not asking for it to be hurt, touched, vandalized, nothing. I do not want anyone's history destroyed. But I do think it's important that this community stands up and says that this is not okay. It's not okay for that monument to be there. Something that's placed to intimidate others does not represent who we are. We cannot be the Medal of Honor host city and worship the Confederacy simultaneously. It doesn't work. There's museums where we could put this. We could take it to the cemetery where all things that die go. But I think that it's important for us to be reflecting on who are we as a community and where are we going. Because you have a lot of young people that were born and raised here that are ready to have your back when you choose to do something that's right for your people. This is political, but at the same time it's not. It's human rights. It's human rights, period. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that's all the individuals we had signed up for public comment. Once again, this is not on the agenda today. It very likely will be in the near future, but we appreciate everybody sharing their thoughts with us today. Moving on to item number 6, which is the consent agenda. Anybody have any items they wish to pull? And we'll give everybody a minute if y'all want to leave. Completely understand.
Audience. Move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Commissioner Leon Clement to approve the consent. Second. Seconded by Commissioner John Clement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 7 is deliberate, consider a possible approval of Treasurer's monthly report.
We're going to talk about that for a long time, don't you think? Just kidding.
You have 30 minutes to state your case.
I say 3 minutes.
Does anybody have
Move to
any?
approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Leon Clement.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Snuggs. It's hard to tell with the mask on who's.
That's why I was clarifying.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 8 is deliberate and consider possible approval of Treasurer's quarterly report.
To approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Snuggs, seconded by Commissioner Hollowell. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Patty. Item number 9 is deliberate consider possible approval of Oak Ridge RV Park on County Road 147 in Precinct 1. That is the plat. It's in your packet, but I think that's the large copy of it. Commissioner Hollowell, you want to speak to this any?
Just to give it a point of reference, it's in behind the General Dollar there at Oak Ridge. They've met all the requirements. It was assessed by our engineering, and I'd make the motion we approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hollowell. Second by Commissioner Leon Clement. Any further discussion on this? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 10 is to open a public hearing regarding replats of lots 1261 and 1262 in Lake Kiowa.
Now, we don't sign this one.
Just I signed that. Yeah. But that's just a big copy if anybody wanted to see it. It was in the packet. It is 10:30 and that public hearing is open. Do we have anybody that signed up for the replat? Do we have anybody that didn't get a chance to sign up that wishes to speak on the replat in Lake Iowa? Hearing none, item 10 or 11 is to close that public hearing, and it will be closed at 10:30. Item 12 is to deliberate and consider possible approval of a replat of lots 1261 and 1262 in Lake Iowa Precinct 2. I think this is just a standard replat unless you got anything on it.
Yeah, as long as the POA signed off on it, I'm good with it.
Yeah, the
Make a
POA
motion.
signed off on it, and I think it just moved a line slightly.
As I say every time, you know, when the POA looks at it, they're very, very strict, so I move to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Snuggs, seconded by Commissioner Leon Clement. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes 5-0. Item number 13 is deliberate and consider possible approval of final plat for Club Lake Road Estates located in Precinct 1. Commissioner
Again,
Hollowell?
just as a point of reference, this is at the East County line. Probably half of it is actually in Grayson County, but again, it's met all of our requirements. Been approved by the engineers, and I make the motion that we approve the plat.
The final plat?
Yes, please.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hollowell. Second. Seconded by Commissioner John Clement. Any further discussion on this? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes 5-0. And that one does need signatures, and I'll get to that in just a
Can I talk about something associated with subdivision?
Sure.
In this? I think the court made the decision that we would have these subdivisions reviewed by an engineering firm, and I think that we've been having them reviewed by an engineering firm.
Yes.
It was my understanding that developers were supposed to reimburse us that cost.
That's on if there is a road or some kind of public improvement. That's where, do we want to consider, that's the way our current regs read for a subdivision like this where there is, 7 lots but no real public improvement or anything. We just, we send it off, but we don't have them reimburse that cost. That's not the way our current regs are written, but that is.
Well, see, where I'm headed with that, Judge, looks like we're spending $1,800, $2,000 on this, and we're not being reimbursed. I think we probably need to go back and look at that.
Yep.
And then anybody so far that's had one that's been approved with a road, some of you may have, we need to define the billing process.
Yeah.
Who's going to take the action
We need
to go bill for that? Because I don't think that we have been reimbursed yet.
There's been the two with the roads have put up I believe, put up a $5,000 drawdown amount for the engineering on the road itself.
But what's the tool? It's where I'm headed.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this happened.
There's a practical side of
We're
it.
sending them a bill.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that they put it up.
Yeah, you're right.
We need something in place, a tool to be sure that they're actually getting the bill and we're getting reimbursed.
Yeah, I don't disagree. We probably should put that back on to have that discussion, because you're right. We went up on our fees for these plats, but still that doesn't cover, even that doesn't cover the cost of the engineering. I mean, we're essentially losing money for each subdivision that comes in.
That's right.
It seemed like whenever we talked about it, or just prior to my arrival, it was, even though it was an extreme cost, it was worth the protection.
I think it's a
Eat a
good
little bit of it,
process,
yeah.
but I think, like Commissioner
Move it to the
Holloway
next
said, that process needs to be pushed onto the developer and not where we get in the situation where we're losing money. And I think a couple of years ago when we did it, we didn't know exactly what those costs would be too.
Right, yeah.
Kinda-
So if a subdivision does not have a road, then we're not requiring the engineering study, or? do
We are requiring
We
the
are.
study, but they don't have to pay for that engineering, our engineering. See, if it's got a road, then they're supposed to be reimbursing even our engineering's review of
Why
it.
not go ahead and just, is that what you're
That's what,
saying?
that's what, make
Just
it
do it the
blanket.
same all the way
Yeah,
across.
Yeah,
But we gotta go assign somebody.
yeah, and then you
To do
gotta.
the billing.
Yeah.
So currently since I know you've had a few and Commissioner Snuggs had a few, are you having to set up a PO or anything right now? Is that coming out of your road and bridge fund, or is that coming out of general fund?
Coming out of my pocket. No, I think it's coming out of the general fund unless Shelley tells me something different too. It's not coming out of road and bridge, because that's not really a road and bridge.
It's not.
It's a broader, But we still need to make sure we're not essentially losing money with each subdivision that comes
I
in.
thought the intent of the whole discussion was to make them pay for the engineering no matter what. And I don't know how it got transferred just to roads, but I thought,
Well,
We just
need
didn't
to-
get specific enough.
we
See, I
did.
didn't realize that till just the last week's reading. I'm bringing it up now.
see, I had a road on mine, so the one that.
Yeah, that's why yours was,
But did you get a check back, see?
there was a $5,000 check, I think that was sent in with,
But did we draw down from it?
and I don't know that we've gotten a bill to draw down off of, but that's part of that.
And I was trying to highlight it. I mean, just something that.
We
You
need
can't see
to,
the expression on my face, but it's not serious. It's just.
no, and I think it's very legit, and we can put it on, next court.
Scary, Gary.
It's hard to tell, whether somebody is.
But when we went into the engineering studies and all that, because it wasn't just about roads, it was about drainage, it was about everything.
Yeah.
On this RV park, we went back and got another survey to ensure that flooding wasn't going to be an issue down on the general dollar. So we spent some more money. And all that, my understanding was the developer was going to pay for all that, and I didn't remember us
It's not,
extinguishing.
yeah, we'll get that on next court and clarify it. Yep. Item 14 is deliberate and consider possible action regarding FY '21 budget. Just as a timeline on this, I don't have it in front of me. By the end of the month, we have to approve a preliminary budget. That looks like it's going to be next court, which will be Monday the 27th, and then most likely approving a final budget in the middle of August in order to hit all the timelines we need. With that being said, I don't have anything additional that I'm aware of that needs to be discussed regarding the 2021 budget right now. Shelley, you got anything?
Not yet.
Does anybody have any?
I got a question that involves take-home vehicles.
Sure.
How many departments do we have that have take-home vehicles, and what's the reasoning behind it? Other than commissioners, I understand those, but I know Ray has one.
I think most, outside of commissioners, then it would be most of your emergency services. So Ray's got one, Sheriff's Department, and I think there's two at EMS.
Two at EMS?
Yes, Kevin and the training officer.
Is there ever a reason why they're called out on weekends or anything?
I don't know, that's a good question.
No, Kevin comes out occasionally during the storm in Ray's absence. I don't know about the training
The
officer.
training officer,
That's probably, I would question, and that'd probably be the one I would question, is the training officer. And it's not the person, it's the position and the rationale.
yeah. And that's been discussed in years past, is about whether that's one we want to relook at.
At some point in time, that vehicle's gonna be worn out, and then it's gonna be, do we wanna spend the money to make it happen again?
Yeah.
Or do we wanna, I don't know where John's headed with this, but do you wanna look at it now? I don't know.
It seems like every year it seems to be a topic of take-home vehicles that you bring up.
He didn't bring it up this
You
year,
didn't
so
bring it up,
somebody
so I
needs
thought
to.
I would this year. Yeah, you're slipping. I couldn't hear half of what you said because we're being safe with the mask, so I don't know what's going on down on that end of the table. So replay what you said. Something about mileage and getting rid of a car, what was it?
I said at some point in time, if we're asked to replace that SUV, you know, is that when we talk about, is it justified, is it not justified? You know, because you got the SUV radios, if they go up to $3,000 or $4,000 for a radio, things of that nature. We just need to be sure that, and my position in the past has been that if it's a take-home vehicle, people need to be explaining the rationale why they're using it. It's not just a benefit.
So you want to continue this discussion down the road, or you want to let it go to the vehicle where it's out? I'm confused.
Oh, and both investigators.
Do what?
Both
Both
investigators.
investigators. Well, I would just I brought it up, because I was curious how.
Just general take-home vehicles, yeah.
Well, I think law enforcement's a given, emergency management's a given. Beyond that, we might want to look, but that's just a thought.
Okay. And we can get, Kevin had another conflicting schedule today, but we can get him in next court and talk to him about it a little more about it.
Well, some justification,
Yeah, yeah.
other than, you know, you're gonna take on big
And justification may be there.
Yeah, and it may be, and that's why I said, we can have Kevin come in next court before we finalize the preliminary to kind of go in a little more detail.
At least he's got some heads up to be prepared.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
don't blindside him.
Yep. Completely agree. Anything else on the FY21 budget at the moment? Like I said, it'll be on next court, and we don't finalize it till mid-August, so we've got 2 or 3 more courts. Have a discussion. Item 15 is deliberation regarding status and future needs of new CPS court, and consider any possible action regarding the same. Ricky, you got anything on this, or anything new? I think they're early voting in there now, or they did last 2 weeks, so.
Report on where we are. Yeah, they are early voting in there now. The door hardware is in at the locksmith in Gainesville. He's trying to find a time to come and do it, probably this week. We'll get the door hardware on there. The carpet, I was looking at past emails when we ordered it. They gave us a projected ship date of July 10th. So just a few days past that. Hopefully we'll get that this week. I'm going to check in with them and see where they are on that. Other than that, everything else is finished.
Is that Gainesville locksmith?
I'm sorry?
You say Gainesville locksmith?
No, locksmith in Denton. Did I say Gainesville?
You said Gainesville.
I'm sorry, it's a locksmith in Denton that we've been using.
You still haven't got him up here.
No. He did come up to repair something, but at that time, he did not have the new lock in. It is now in, and I'm trying to get him here to install it.
And we do have a mobile locksmith still in Cooke County. I don't know if it's worth a contact or.
I've called him, and I can't get him.
Okay.
Anything else for?
I just thought I heard Gainesville. I thought maybe some. maybe
I'm
some.
sorry, I missed.
Often I miss here, Rick, so it's all right.
Item 15 will be no action. Item 16 is deliberate consider possible action regarding various grant funds. The first one being the FEMA 2015 flood. Do we have anything new on the flood grant? No?
Our extension was approved.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I emailed our contact at FEMA, and she said the letter from Tatum should be forthcoming, but we haven't received it yet, but, I think I sent the response to all of y'all, but we haven't seen the letter.
All righty. The next up is the FEMA 2020 COVID-19 grant. This is the FEMA grant for COVID. I don't have anything
I don't have anything.
new on that. The next one is the CARES Act funding. We have anything new on CARES Act funding?
I got that form submitted,
Yeah.
and that's all I've got.
There was one that was talked about at some point in time that may come through the county, and we'd be able to help fund some small business.
Well, that's where I was going to go after we kind of talked about anything else on that. That is that CARES Act funding, according to the state. Well, let me back up. According to the federal government, an appropriate use of those funds is as loans, and not loans, but as emergency grants, basically to businesses that were shut down, sure enough affected because of government action. So you're thinking bars, nail salons, things like that were actually shut down or closed to the public, like restaurants. The state said you can spend up to 25% of that amount. So we had 1.2 million So you spend 25% of that amount for that type of small business relief. And that is an expense, and there's been some counties that have done that, and cities that have done that, the cities also. And if that's something we want to pursue, my suggestion would be partnering probably with the other entities to create a county-wide plan, because we probably, unless, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, but we're not going to expend all of those funds. I mean, I don't think we've expended, I don't know what the dollar amount yet is, but it's in the tens of thousands, I think, because if that. Right now, the biggest expense is paying for some tests, a couple $100 a pop or something.
How
Well,
much total
if-
are we supposed to get?
1.2 million,
How much have we received?
first 20%.
224,000?
And then the rest of it is reimbursable after you expend it, similar to.
So would you, so it's like the road program?
Yeah.
Okay, so this money that you would set up, this grant money to businesses, are you talking about the money that we have now, or the money that's still
No,
out there?
I'm talking
that
about sorry, go ahead.
You're talking about the money that's still out there, let's say $1 million. We could set up a grant fund program, but then we would have to give the money to the business. Let's say you decided you would make it $2,000 a business, and we would expend $50,000, and then we would have to submit that to them being the state or the Fed or whoever, and then they would reimburse us.
That's probably a very likely way, and I don't know if running down that same hypothetical, X number of dollars per business, let's say it's 50,000 total, whether once we get those applications or whatever that is, whether we send that to the state and say, hey, look, we're ready to expend this funds, can you release more? And so we're not spending county funds hoping we're going to get reimbursed. I don't know, because it does set up a question. If we're expending county funds, there's no guarantee.
That was human.
So, and this is through the Treasury and through TDM, so it's slightly different than FEMA, but it's the same process.
I know some of the counties that did this were the larger counties, let's say, got $100 million or $50
They got it
million up
direct.
front. They got a huge chunk of money, and they set some of that aside. Williamson County, I can't remember, there were several of them I read about.
Larger counties got it and set it
They
aside.
set it aside, some of it, and then they gave it away as grants, but that'd be risky to go.
Yeah.
Well, the question would be, I mean, I'm pulling numbers off the top of my head. It sounds like we could probably expend about 270,000, or maybe.
Yeah, roughly.
So we would risk that with the potential of maybe helping some businesses. Doing that with other entities, I would like to, it'd be nice if.
Well, and
there was a process where maybe we combine the money and define the entities that's going to get it versus, maybe the city gives some money and we don't necessarily know how much and we're giving.
I would rather partner so, you don't get into double dipping and run it all through. And I haven't, and I know this is public discussion, I hadn't had, the city and I have had, Barry and the mayor both had just very, very high level talk on it. But, if you did the chamber or EDC or some type of administrator of that program, because we get into this, we're still bound by the law, which means we can't give money directly to individuals without going through one of the statutes that allows it.
Oh, even under this
Even under
circumstance,
this.
when the state has told us.
So, so you would still have to create a mechanism. Most of them are using like a Chamber of Commerce or an EDC as that gatekeeper, because you can do money to there. I don't know if Shelley's got any other thoughts on that, but you're still bound by the same laws that you're bound by for anything else. So that's another kink in that whole, I mean, not kink necessarily, but that's another factor in the whole scenario.
I believe Collin County did it, but I didn't know, I thought they were dealing with it directly. I didn't know.
I've just misunderstood because I thought that this particular act was going to allow us to do that under a disaster or emergency.
That's what I thought.
There was, but I've seen some traffic by, on our listserv, county judge listserv with Allison, that says you still have to have a statutorily justified method of doing that. Now, you could do it under the 381 for, you can do that for economic development and have an agreement in place with each entity that agrees, I mean, with each, let's say you're sending it to restaurant A, you would have to have them still sign to say that they are, you're basically entering into an economic agreement contract with them that they are, so you could do it under like a 381 agreement situation. So there is mechanisms to do it, but you still got to follow that same path.
And I trust, I mean, you do your research, I'm not questioning you.
No.
But if we partner with some other entities, we might be financially able to front the money, and the other entity may not be. So we want to be careful that we didn't support that, and when the money came back, we didn't get.
You still want to collaborate enough with them that you're not getting into a double dip where you have restaurant A goes to the city and then goes to the county and then whatever and ends up with two piles of
Well,
the same.
and we front the money, say, to a third party.
Yeah.
And they exhaust ours. When the money comes back, well, then it goes to, it's split up amongst entities that didn't contribute.
Yeah, but with.
And because they couldn't, they didn't have front money.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just like, sorry. I mean, even during the disaster, I still have to bid. Even the purchasing part of it is even more stringent than just on a regular basis. So yeah, you would still have to follow, which is why everybody's been diverting it to a central location and having applications and having a neutral third party review the applications and dispersing the money that way.
What's the timeline?
End of the year.
And we'd want to be sure that we did that countywide.
Yeah.
These small communities were
Yeah.
not left out.
Not-
And, and I don't know how much some of the third parties deal with the rural areas.
That's
So
very true.
We would want some checks and balances in there to be sure that the outlying cities.
But with.
You have to do it equitably.
But with more.
Equitably throughout the whole county.
Yes.
But I think maybe we need to start pursuing that a little heavier because as things potentially might, who knows, with the governor start shutting down again, I mean, these businesses are going to be hurting, and if we've got a mechanism to provide some relief, and then we got funds that are designated for that, then we may need a.
Well, and pardon my expression, they're hungry now.
Yeah.
Some of them, and
Yeah,
they need
no doubt.
help now.
Yeah.
And by the time we get it through the process, the 6 months could be up.
Well, that's, yeah.
I'll look to see if the regs have changed.
Okay.
I just thought maybe under disaster,
No.
But you still got to go through the
Yeah.
same, I'm not saying it's not there, it's just another step.
They don't,
Process.
the rules don't get thrown out.
but I mean, you gotta have something to audit so it's not taking advantage.
Right. I mean, like, in some instances locally, y'all can go out and do something without a PO, but in order to buy something, then I'd have to bid it out, but,
But to give something away,
yeah, no,
Yeah.
there are still rules.
personally, I would be, if we have a tool, I would be in favor of us taking that $250,000, $270,000 risk, counting on being reimbursed,
Yeah.
but, I mean, we're certainly in a
And-
position that we could, if properly administered, I wouldn't mind helping.
What I would advocate doing is if we set up a plan or a program, to submit that to TDM for a little pre-approval of, hey, if we do this, to get a little something in writing saying,
I agree.
yes, we'll,
I agree.
So when are we gonna do that? Because it's already end of July, basically.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to write up a plan, how you're gonna qualify, how much do you want this to be, $1,000, $2,000?
yeah, I'm not sure.
$500?
Yeah, up to X number of dollars. And how do you measure, what's your metric? What do you?
What's your scorecard?
Do you say the business that's how do you define, or is it just?
Well, we can get samples of other
Holland
counties.
County did it, Williamson County. I can't-
Wise County
Wise
did
County
it.
just did
Wise
one.
County did
They
it.
did a partner with quite a few other entities.
Yeah.
Try to get something that's
There's a lot of.
county our size.
Yeah, there's a lot of programs out there now of counties. I wouldn't say a lot of counties that have done it, but there are examples of plans that seem to be working that we can leverage. And I think we can do that pretty quickly.
Start writing your letters of extension.
That's not, I don't know that this extension would come from the feds, not from an entity.
That was meant facetiously.
And of course,
We couldn't see the smile on your face.
the federal government's supposed to be working on their the next package now, so the rules could change in 2 weeks too, so who knows?
Yeah. But that's a good idea to run something by them. Once we've got it
Yeah.
established, say, hey, here's our plan, here's our
Little
potential.
pre-approval on that part before we expend funds.
County would be a good.
Yeah, they did one that, and I'll reach out to JD and kind of get the samples of that. Nothing further on CARES Act funding. Item D is public safety COVID grants.
When are we going to hear on the Office of the Governor grant?
I think, I got an email about a week ago.
The Office of the Governor grant through TCOG?
I got an email about a week ago from TCOG. I don't know that I forwarded that to you. I was just out of the office. That basically said they still don't know how much they're going to get, but the ball's rolling. It wasn't, here's your money or whatever.
That's the one where we applied to pay for our over 45-day inmates.
Pay for what?
Our over 45-day state jail inmates.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was,
the jail deal. Yeah.
Ones where housing could stay.
Yes.
update on.
And overtime for the jail.
So they've basically sent the readjustment of what the region could be allocated.
In the very beginning, it was 38 million.
Yeah, but for our region, it was like it was 240, original was 274,000, and it looks like they did a final adjustment up to 323. There's still no distributions or approval, that's just a reshuffling of the.
Right.
So, and that was June 30th, so that was 2 weeks ago now, but that's not a, hey, here's your money, that's just FYI, they've adjusted the allocations some.
When they got
TCOG would get, and they would have to
And then we would,
disperse it throughout the.
yeah.
Well, when they got everybody's request, I guess they were waiting to see.
That was, I think you were on that email.
Yeah, you sent me that one.
But you was like a 38 million number, right?
Well, the grant overall was 38 million.
So,
And I still haven't heard from that grant that I got for Kevin, that other FEMA grant for him. I haven't heard anything on that one yet either.
but those have, that email was from 2 weeks ago, that's the closest I've got on it, but still no money, but just, hey. The next one is CTIF road grants, and we do have a,
We need to take action.
yeah, we got some action we got to take. We got to approve the, what's this called here? The fund agreement, grant fund agreement, and then do the resolution. Both of them should be in your packet on pages, starting on pages.
62.
Yeah, I need to zoom this up. Yeah, 260 something.
262.
Yeah, and it goes on. So there's two different. I've got the resolution here, the other one just I signed, but it's a resolution.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Leon Clement,
Second.
second by Commissioner John Clement. Any further discussion on this? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
So divide the 475,961 by 4.
Yep. 5-0.
And that was the resolution from the 2014.
And we sent this to them, they said it's good.
Yeah.
We kind of
So do we send that by snail mail, or is there a faster way to get that going?
we'll email it to them.
And then what? We have to.
We've got a chart that's about 27 steps long that they.
Well, they say if you electronically sign it and send it, that's approved faster than if
So
you
I can
snail
take care of
mail
that
it.
today.
Yeah.
But it would require all of y'all to electronically sign the resolution, but I think I can upload the resolution onto the other one.
Can we sign a hard copy and you scan it?
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Attach it.
Maybe we do that.
Electronic signatures?
I thought that you could sign the resolution and
I digitally sign the contract, and then the resolution gets scanned in.
yeah, I
That's
thought you
what
could do
that's
that.
what I, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. And I think that would,
Make it happen.
yeah. I can
Then
get-
what happens?
You start spending money.
There's a chart in my office if you want to come take a look.
they won't have this money, what they're telling us is this money won't be available till about December, so.
And then they'll wonder why the heck you ain't getting anything done.
They can't get anything done.
But what I'm being told is no work can be done until TxDOT signs the contract.
Yeah, which has not happened.
And we have 5 years, as I understand
Yeah,
it, to do it.
yeah, which would,
So what would happen if we changed our designated road then? We have to go through the whole process again?
No, I just have to send in a updated spreadsheet.
I discussed that with Alan Moore, is the guy in Wichita that handled the last one, is handling this one, and I said, well, I can't wait forever, what happens? And he said, just send in a new form, a new change to a different road if you want to.
Because I got a contractor who wanted to start last week, and not knowing that this was gonna take this long to get approved.
But that road's already on the list, isn't it?
Do what?
That road's already on their list.
yeah, but he still
It's on
can't
the
start
list.
until this has been signed by.
Well, but he's gonna
TxDOT.
reimburse him anyway. He's gonna pay for it and reimburse him anyway, just use this money, right?
I don't
Huh?
think so.
I go real fast.
I can't start the work until it's approved.
By the
And
end
it's
of the
not
week,
from us,
I
it's
have
on their
everything.
I know, but you're gonna front the money out of your budget, basically, and then
Yes.
refunders can't. Okay, I'm just asking, just working an angle for you, trying to.
No, because the contract's gonna send a bill, and it's gonna be dated June 30, and that ain't
They're
gonna
gonna say,
fly.
No, nothing dated before the approval.
Yeah, I've already gotten into this, I haul the rock, we haul our chips during the winter. So I've already been told I can't use any of that, I gotta haul all new material. Now, the road oil they'll pay for, but the chips they won't. And I've got one pile sitting by a road designated for that road, and they're balking at that. I said, well, why? Well, they didn't put the road number on the chip receipts. Even though it's sitting there by the road, and we all, boy, what does this sound like? Sounds kind of like FEMA, doesn't it?
See, because they're calling it a partially executed agreement when county judge electronically sends it. So it's not, they're calling it partially
And
executed.
they still have to
It's
sign off on it.
not fully executed till they return it to us, which means it's ready to go.
Sign one more.
I was trying to help you.
I signed two.
Do what, Jim?
I was trying to help him.
And
Oh.
so I need that back instead of going to Pam, I need that back to scan in.
It is what it is.
But they did, Alan Moore did say that it will turn around quickly. He didn't
I can get that done this afternoon,
define what quickly was,
so the ball will be in their court.
but he said if it was wet sign, which means if you mail it in, it takes weeks.
Yeah, we'll get it, I'll get it emailed in today.
And the reason they're being so hard on they want fresh new receipts. In the other grant that we had a few years ago, a certain county bought up lots of stuff and stored it. And they don't want it bought and stored, they want it used. Regulations.
All right, so the next item, thank you, sir. The next item is F, which is the HAVA elections grant. I know Pam's in the middle of elections, but we'll probably take up that next week or next court unless you want to,
Well, are we going to approve just the poll books for the CARES or not?
yeah, if you want to
Do
be.
that?
We did one way at 20 foot, took 24 foot, what we changed it to, because I tried to get it.
Go back to the CARES one.
On RVs.
Well, I wasn't sure if we put the CARES with this, or if we had the CARES, didn't say anything, because I thought maybe we were doing the CARES with my election one. Are we not?
Do what?
Are we doing the CARES with my election one, or have we done this on C?
We haven't been awarded the HAVA money yet.
No, she's talking about the CARES HAVA.
The CARES for the 10 poll books.
Oh,
Okay, it's in there, the packet.
What page you on?
I don't know.
Before you go to executive, I need a backup on something.
It's not in there, is it? No, it's not in there. Unless it's before this. Oh, yeah, there it is. It would be page 255. That's the poll books. We've talked about that last couple of
Right.
boards.
You can use the CARES, because it will help keep lines down and keep people 6 feet apart, so that'll justify using the CARES money.
What do we need to do?
Need a motion?
I thought we talked about it already, right?
Yeah, I just need a motion. Sorry.
So move.
Have a motion by Commissioner Leon Clement,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hollowell. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes 5-0. Commissioner, hey, Leon, can you hand me those 2 pages sitting right there, right where your pen's at?
This.
Those go with this. That should be the first pages of the resolution. First 3 pages or something.
It's 3.
Yeah.
This does need to go, item needs to go in C.
Yeah, it would be part of the,
All right, I wasn't sure.
it's the election cares or whatever that is. So many grants. Commissioner Snuggs, you had something you wanted to talk about real quick?
Never had to do this before, but if we back up on number 9, I just caught this, proving that sometimes a paper copy is better than an electronic copy. On this RV park, it's got gravel driveway, and Gary's thinking that that's how it is in the RV parks, but I just went through, I mean, we stuck with chip seal.
I thought the RV.
No,
park,
we
took it
allowed
back.
for
Allowed for gravel.
gravel.
The RV park.
Yep.
RV park.
Well, we just forced the one on I-35, and
No, they ended up doing it anyway, I think.
I forced the Mountain Springs to do it, because that's what I tried to get. I wanted to be gravel.
I think they have to be chip seal ready, basically. to
Yeah,
take
yeah.
the gravel.
It's regular.
Yeah. Packed and compaction and all that, but not chip seal.
Yeah, with the exception of paving, yeah.
But did you read something different? Do we need to go fix it?
No, he's going off of the earlier version, I think, but that was,
Oh, because that's what I wanted to do was gravel, because I thought it was silly to do chip seal. If they turned it into pasture land again, they had a paved road running through their property.
no,
I don't know how.
does not have to meet the paving requirements under 7.03.
That's what I thought. but-
We can talk about it after
Okay.
on it. Item 17 is executive session in compliance with Texas Open Meetings Act 551 and the Government Code. It is 11:07, and we'll go into executive just as soon as,
Can we take a break?
we'll take a 5-minute break. Okay, it is 12:26. We are back in regular session. Item number 18 is deliberate and consider possible action regarding public health emergency declaration for COVID-19. I don't believe we have any action on that. Item number 19 is deliberate and consider possible action regarding personnel matters. I don't believe we have any action on that. And 20 is deliberate and consider possible action regarding purchase of real property. I don't think we have any action on that either. So item number 21 is future agenda items. I know we want to put subdivisions back on there, subdivision regs.
Put down what it's for, so if we forget.
Yeah, subdivision regs regarding
cost or something.
engineer cost. Okay. And anything else at the moment?
Let's don't keep, well, you're going to keep the CTIF on there.
Yeah, all that stuff will stay on there.
That'll all stay on.
Yep. If not, go ahead.
Go ahead, no, never mind, I'll handle it.
If not, item number 22 is to adjourn.
Make the motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner John Clement, second by Commissioner Leon Clement. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes 5-0. The workshop originally scheduled for 1 will be at 1:30. See everybody then.
Not till 1:30?
1:30.
Till 1:30.